Alrighty guys, and welcome to a LEGO Technic set review from BrickByBrick. Today we have set number 8284, the Dune Buggy / Tractor. This is a Technic set released in 2006 as part of the Technic theme. Contains 872 pieces and retailed for $60 in the United States. And this is a set that can be built as a Dune Buggy. So there's one instruction booklet for that, and one instruction, or two instruction booklets actually, to build it into a tractor. And I did pick this set up used, but in pretty decent shape as far as the actual parts, off of a Facebook yard sale site for $25, so keep that in mind. This is also my first trip into the world of Technic sets, with the exception of two like really small ones from a while ago. But this is my first big Technic set, so let's see how it goes. So this Dune Buggy is the main build. It does have one instruction booklet versus the two used for the tractor, so I feel like the tractor may end up using more pieces, especially because there are about this many pieces left over upon, assembling this into the full Dune Buggy model. And the Dune Buggy looks alright. I mean, it is very, very gappy and very, very Technic-y, and as a result, doesn't look like a super finished product, but, it is. However, it's a Technic set, so it's more about the features and the build experience, which, was an interesting build experience. I haven't built big Technic sets before, so it kind of went together pretty interesting. I had a little bit of trouble because I used the wrong size axles in certain places, and then I had to go and disassemble it without disassembling the whole thing. Yeah, it was a fun time, but aside from that, it wasn't too bad to build. It took longer than a regular set would, but I was expecting that. You'll notice it does use a couple system parts, which is less common back at this time. It has this light bar, which is a 1x8 plate or 1x10 plate with some 1x1 trans clear plates on there. And the first big, I guess the first mechanism is the gull-wing doors on either side. They just open up like that. Reminds me of a DeLorean. Cool. It's got these seats in there, which are built up decently, actually. I kind of like the way the interior looks, and that might be my favorite looking part of the model. It's got the steering wheel, which doesn't actually turn, and there is a printed control panel, 1x4 tile in there, which is kind of cool. There are also these mirrors, which can move up and down, and yeah, I mean, that's it. It is a very wireframe cabin, but, it looks alright, I think. The front, where I would assume, you'd have some sort of internal mechanisms in an actual Dune Buggy, and you'd have a windshield probably. This leaves no room for a windshield. It's just a big, large, empty space, and that looks very awkward to me. It looks like these should be down further, and then you'd have a windshield section, but that's not how they did it. So this front looks very awkward to me. It does allow you to see the mechanism in there, which when you turn this, the front wheels turn, so you have this good kind of steering, and you can kind of maneuver the whole vehicle from this one point. So I think that in itself is a good feature, and it's fun, and it works pretty simply with this rack and pinion gear. That's it. And yeah, I mean, the linkages that go into building that mechanism are good. I like it. It's got a universal joint up there. That's how, you get to turn it at this angle. Yeah, I mean, I like that. It works well, and is pretty much as expected, but, there's a lot of cool ways to do turning mechanisms with Technic, so that should definitely 100% be expected all of the time. And then in the back here, we have the engine block, which, if you look carefully, you'll notice that there are the Technic cylinders and pistons, and when the back wheels turn, the pistons will actually, do their thing, which is cool. It's a little bit hard to show it, actually happening while it's moving, just because, it's a small section and it's tough to get the camera to follow it, but it does happen if you can see it going on here. That's why I attempted to show it while the vehicle was stationary, and you can see it in there well enough. You get the idea. From the back, it's got this thing, which is actually an important feature. But just quick taking a look from the back, it's very, 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 very empty here. You can see straight through to the front. There is nothing going on in here besides this engine, and the engine, doesn't look super great from the outside. Again, you can see when the wheels are turned, the interior of the pistons, will do its thing, and you can kind of see the gears working there, but that's it. It does have some suggestions of tail lights as well, but nothing else super special, and the shaping of these is a little bit weird. It's also strange to me that they put in these panels, because the rest of it is so wireframe. Just covering up this small portion doesn't really do much. But the other feature is the cool feature, I guess. And I didn't know that, and by cool I mean kind of unique to the Dune Buggy idea, instead of just being, an engine or a turning mechanism, which lots and lots of Technic sets have. This apparently is a thing in actual Dune Buggies where the engine will move out to the back so that it can, this would be its off-road mode versus its regular street mode, which you saw before. And that's interesting, actually. The mechanism that went into this took a lot of, building. This whole thing was kind of complicated, but I do think that it turned out pretty well. Again, now it's super duper open, way more open than it was before. From all angles, the top, the sides. I mean, these make a little bit more sense now, but, there's really nothing special. It's also a little bit easier to see the pistons moving, but, it's really, really big now, and that does add a good amount of size to it, and it's an interesting feature. I don't know if it was really worth the amount of effort it took to build that, but for Technic fans, they'll appreciate the mechanisms that went into that. Overall, the Dune Buggy is, good as a Technic model with, decent features, and it does have the one thing that is a pretty unique Technic feature. I don't think I've seen this in a Technic set before or after. And again, I shouldn't be the guy to judge all Technic sets and features. Maybe this has been in a million sets. I don't know. I'm not a big Technic expert, as I've said before, but that's kind of cool. However, as a display model, this doesn't really make the cut. It looks like a mess, and there's really nothing that makes it visually interesting, I guess. The coolest thing, I guess, is just big wheels, but, lots of things have big wheels. This is kind of a mess, and it's very hard to tell what it's supposed to be. It's not recognizable as anything. Like, if you look from the side, I don't know what that is. If you look from the front, I don't know what that is. If you tell me it's a Dune Buggy, and you show it maybe from just the right angle, oh, okay, maybe that could be a Dune Buggy. It doesn't look like what it's supposed to, but it has cool features, so, you got to kind of draw the line somewhere, though. So the second build, and the one that uses significantly more parts, is this tractor with a little trailer attachment thing. And I do want to point out that it did have a decent amount of parts left over. I'm not sure if these are included with the actual set, and I don't know how many of them are, or if they're all just completely extras that, didn't need to be included, but the person I got this from did include these extra parts. I'm not 100% sure either way. But the actual tractor does look good. The front section is actually decently well sealed off. And the first feature we have here is the little engine, which does have the cylinders in there, and those will end up moving actually when you take the wheels and turn them. The back wheels are linked to that, so you'll notice the cylinders go up and down as I'm spinning this back wheel. Obviously that would be in motion while it drives back and forth, but you know, it's kind of tough for you to see while it's in motion. The actual front looks good. Again, I like the bumper, and it does have a little bit of suspension. The wheels are actually able to pivot, so if you know you've got something on the ground like a hand, you can just drive over it and it'll do that no problem. The back wheels have no suspension, it's just the front, but you know, it's cool to have that little bit of realism. And you'll notice that the wheel guards actually pivot with the wheels and allow you to, you know, push it all the way. Like, it stops it from going too far. You'll notice the lights on the front, and the actual shaping of the cab is pretty good. You'll notice you have a slight curve on both of these pieces, as you can see from the top. That's good. I like that. Also, this can open up so you can see the side of the engine. Not that that shows much, but the other side can't do that because it has this smokestack blocking that piece. There's also the little steps up to the cab, where you have the seat that has an adjustable back, kind of. It only goes forward, so, you know, it's kind of useless. There is that little printed control panel piece with the steering wheel, which can turn. It doesn't control anything, but it turns, which is cool. And I mean, you know, that's all there is to the cab. Looks good. You also have these wheel arches, which are made with these flexible tubes. Those are the same on both sides. And there's this light up here, as well as this gear, which turns the front as you turn it. You'll notice, if you look carefully, that gear in the center of the cab turns. It's part of the whole mechanism that does it. It also, you know, goes down behind the chair there. That is part of the mechanism. And I think that that's a cool little mechanism, and it moves the wheel arches as well. So, you know, I think that's good, and the suspension still works with the turning mechanism. So, you know, all of that works really well, I think. And I think I like this turning mechanism better than the Dune Buggy. And on the back, you notice we have this big old thing, which will show you more of that in a minute. But I do want to mention real quick that right here, this gear can bring that thing up and down. And it doesn't have the highest range of motion, but it's basically enough to get it off the ground or on the ground. And, you know, that kind of is what it is. On this side, there is the same kind of detailing. You also have the smokestack attached there. And then this thing, which, you know, is part of an important feature, but I'm going to need a slightly wider angle in order to get this, I think. Welcome to the top secret BrickByBrick floor, which has kind of worse lighting, but it's going to allow you to, you know, get the amount of space that you need in order to see this mechanism working in action. Also, I didn't mention before, but you have these mirrors up here which can be turned in and out. That's the only aesthetic feature that I didn't mention. But, you know, you can drive this back and forth, and as you turn the, you know, wheel on the top, it'll steer. So you can, you know, go in nice big circles, which I can't reach, so we're not going to. But I just broke something too. Well, that's okay. But the this on the back has a very, very interesting feature to it. It has got the ability to do something as the vehicle drives forwards. And all you have to do in order to engage that is flip this lever forward. And it'll, it's like a differential or something, I don't know, whatever this thing is. It'll push that back and forth. That red piece in there, it'll push it back and forth, and when it is pushed forward, as the vehicle goes forward, this will spin. The whole mechanism on the back for farming, which I think is a cool feature, and I like that. When you go backwards, it doesn't really work, like only one side will. I don't know if that's just the way I built it, but I'm assuming it's because you'll notice the bevel gears here are on opposite sides, and you can also tilt that up and it'll just not do anything, because it requires gravity to get these bevel gears on the bottom engaged, which it's all in all a really cool mechanism that goes into building that. If you're interested, I would recommend checking out the instructions, and it'll show you how that's all done. But, you know, it gets a cool motion, and I like that quite a bit. So, let's get back to a little final verdict. Overall, this tractor is a very, very nice build. It looks pretty good, and it has really cool functions. Also, I didn't mention this. The spinning thing will still work while it's in the air, as long as, you know, the two sides aren't folded up. But yeah, it's cool. I like it. As far as Technic builds go, this seems to have a ton of cool features. I don't know if you know, there are other Technic sets which do this thing better, or if there are other Technic sets that have more cooler features. But this one alone, as my first Technic set, you know, the tractor build was impressive. The Dune Buggy was a letdown, and I didn't really like it. I don't know why it's advertised in the front of the box. Maybe because they've done less Dune Buggies, because I know that they've done several tractors at least. They did most recently the Class X Xeron VAC 5000 something, I don't know. Whatever it is, I just see it in the Amazon sale watches. But yeah, enough with that. This, on its own, I think is cool. If you like Technic building, I think you'll... Well, actually, I don't know if you'll like this, because I don't know if I have enough experience to evaluate that. But for me, as my first Technic set, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think that it had cool features, and it kind of impressed me. Especially after I was disappointed by the original Dune Buggy build. But, you know, overall, I think it's cool, and I don't know, maybe I'll be building some more Technic stuff soon. We'll see. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know what you guys think of Technic, or if you prefer to stick with just system sets. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. So, I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.